and gentlemen, the 3 knockdown rule is back in effect on Triller with Steve Kinnan. I'm joined by Manhattan, Mario Lopez. Welcome back. Big week in the Big Apple for you.
Big week in the Big Apple, and then I was in Mexico prior to that, and then Texas, and then Turks and Caicos. It's been crazy, man. Been racking up the miles, but you know what? I'm happy to be here. So shout out to the Smoking Tim Frazier, Buffalo Knuckles. We even got Tino in the house, couple guests hanging out. I like when it's a barbershop. You know, next time we're gonna have to start drinking, Kim, because hanging out with you, I need a drink.
So, as you could say, that this is really filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Hey.
But let's get started with round number 1. We go back November 27th from the Hulu Theater in New York. We are in the zone in a stunning upset. Your new lightweight champion of the world, George Kambosos. He upsets the apple cart, defeating Teofimo Lopez in 12 rounds. The score is 115-111, 113-114, but the deciding judge had it 115-112 for the new emperor of the lightweight division.
13-1 underdog. 13-1 underdog is what he was going. That is incredibly impressive. I'm so impressed by Kambosos. Not only that he rose to the occasion and was able to be victorious that night, but the way he's carried himself afterwards, what a breath of fresh air. Right back in the gym the week after. I'm going to get to the fight in a second, but right back in the gym the week after. Such a gentleman, the way he handled it in the ring and his post-fight interviews. It's hard not to like the guy, really. Now, as far as the fight itself, man, look, the kid came to fight. He was not there to show up and just lay down for a check. It's almost like in Rocky when he says, yeah, he thinks this is a real fight. It's not a damn show, but a fight. Or I'm messing up the line, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Here was what's so impressive. In the first round when he came out and he just let his hands go. There was no feeling out. He's like, I'm going to take the fight to this kid. He ended up dropping Lopez. Whoa. Everyone with a big overhand right, where Lopez came out and tried to blitz him and overwhelm him. And I think he thought his power was going to be enough. I didn't see the guy that fought Loma. I didn't see the guy that was sticking that jab out, using angles, punching in combinations. I saw a guy that was loading up on all his shots, relying on his strength, and trying to take him out with one punch and not being able to go to a plan B. He didn't necessarily, even in the knockdown, I felt that he was threatened with his power where he can get knocked out. But I thought he felt that he could either pressure him, eventually get inside and start taking him out when he did land, and he did end up hurting him, and he did end up dropping the one time. And the irony is, Kim, that if he would have let his hands go and punch in combinations, he may have gotten it stopped there. With that said, and let's assume he did get it stopped, I thought it did hurt his stock, and it took a little shine off too, because he was such a heavy favorite. A lot of people expected him, yourself included. I actually thought it was going to be very competitive, but I did think Teofimo, of course, was going to be victorious. But the fact that Kambosos was in and out, boxing beautifully with combinations, going downstairs. The hand speed was problematic, never staying still. He was a constant moving target. Tough guy, took some tough shots and was well-conditioned throughout, executed that game plan. And when he did get hurt, the way he responded and finished out, because I had it even, to be honest, going into the 11th and 12th round, and he did enough to win. It was a close fight. It was a competitive fight, but Kambosos definitely did enough to win, and there was no controversy. And I think it was very telling in the post-fight interview when Teofimo, oh man, this just took all the shine off when he thought he won 10-2 or 10 rounds to 2.
Originally 11-2, and you know.
Well, it's not that the math doesn't add up there. And then his own hometown was booing him. I thought that was just a poignant moment. And wow, talk about, I don't want to say a fall from grace, but I've never seen someone at such a high coming off of that huge upset win with Loma and it's been about a year since that
13
fight?
13 months.
Okay, so yeah, about a year. Where it's just come crashing down, and it's the momentum just with the roller coaster, just boom, you couldn't have messed it up any worse.
They did it to themselves, and you did the Rocky reference, and I was thinking about this coming into the show today. It reminded me.
He doesn't know it's a show. He thinks it's a damn fight. That's what the line was.
Go back to the original Rocky, and remember when it was on a Thanksgiving weekend when Apollo Creed came in as Black George Washington, crossing the Delaware. Remember?
Yeah.
And in that, and they picked the Italian stallion because of the name.
And the 4th of July. They fought on the 4th of July, remember?
Oh, no, it was Thanksgiving weekend. It was in the winter. Remember Paulie threw out the turkey?
Wait, which Rocky are you talking
The
about?
first one, the one that matters.
First of all, they all matter. But I thought it was 4th of July, the Italian on 4th of July.
Jeez, you're
No, well, God, hold
you're
on.
a Rocky historian.
No, hold
Card
on a
has been
second. I'm
pulled.
totally
It
messing
was
this up right now.
Thanksgiving
Wasn't
weekend.
it? When did he come out? Oh no, the other one he fought him for. Okay, I'm getting my Rockies
Good
confused.
Lord.
Quit breaking my balls.
You
I'm getting my
are
Rockies.
no
I've been
longer
traveling.
seen the movie.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm no
My
jet lagged. Go on.
Okay, so remember when Paulie threw out the bird?
Yeah, I remember Thanksgiving. You're right.
So
That's why Rocky, some people consider it a Christmas movie. You're right. I'm sorry.
So
You're right,
anyway,
okay.
in the first round of that fight, Apollo Creed thought, I'm going to knock this bum out. He's having a great round. Teofimo had it in his mind. This is a 3-round fight, him and his father.
Right.
But I think psychologically, once that knockdown happened, you could see it in their faces like, uh-oh. Then what? Here's the problem with predicting first-round blowouts or early knockouts. And other fighters have told me this. When that deadline strikes and you make it to that round you're not supposed to, that fighter that doesn't come through on his promise, psychologically, they're not always prepared for a real fight. You could see that Teo was a little bit deflated. And there were times in that fight when he's getting counterpunched. He never expected Kambosos to have the ability to do that. He also boxed, I believe, with a sense of entitlement, like, how dare you stand up to me?
Right.
I can't believe this is happening. And when you don't take a fight serious, you have a serious problem. I think psychologically, Teo expected a blowout, and when that didn't happen, uh-oh.
You're exactly right. And to use another Rocky reference, to use a better one than the
Get the
first
right-
one,
get the right
I'm
one
going
this
to get this right.
Okay, we'll see that.
In Rocky 3, I
Okay.
think it's a better analogy. It was more like when Rocky fought Clubber Lang.
The first time.
Yes, the first time. He was high on the horse doing commercials, doing a long victory
Oh,
lap.
training in a house of ill repute.
Exactly. And then Clubber Lang's in the basement. He's working out hard. And that's Kambosos. Is that a better analogy?
It's not bad.
That's
It's
a
not
better
bad.
analogy. It was more Rocky 3. And I think you're absolutely right. Psychologically, he didn't know how to adjust. And I got to blame the corner a little bit. I know the father, who we love as a character, and we've had him in here a few times, when the best you can do at 10th round, you got to fucking knock him out. You got to knock him out. No, that's not the kind of advice you need, man, and the kind of guidance that you're looking for in your most vulnerable moment there at the fight.
Teofimo Lopez is 23, and he made the decision along with his management that I'm a superstar. I need to fight once or twice a year. I've said this for a while. If you're under the age of 25 and you have less than 20 fights, you have to fight often because you still have to be a full-formed, developed fighter. And I believe this. Your talent, if you're really a prodigy, is like a blade. And in this particular realm, or anything in life, if you are not honing and sharpening that blade, there's only one other thing that happens. It gets dull.
It's exactly. You're exactly. Now look.
They didn't respect their own talent. They didn't respect the game. And then you find out on the background, they're still trying to create another purse bid situation for the Haney fight to put Top Rank once again in a situation where they may have to go into a purse bid.
And what is this, Kim, about he had a medical condition,
okay.
which a lot of people obviously are skeptical
Look.
about, but what's the real skinny behind it?
Well, he says that he had a hole in his esophagus and he had air built up in his lungs, but you said it 3-4 weeks ago as this 400-pound mountain man is clubbing him in the chest. I wonder what could go wrong there.
No, exactly. Just a serious.
You know what
Look,
Teofimo is, though? I'm going to go with another television reference.
Oh, God.
Arthur Fonzarelli. Because he's jumped over the shark. I hate to say it as someone that was a big fan of his. I drove the bandwagon. I'm off.
Can I tell
I'm
you?
off.
I'm not off yet, because like Arthur Fonzarelli, I still think he's cool.
Hey.
He's got to get out of the flannel jacket, whatever the hell that gray jacket was, and into the leather jacket. These analogies are crazy today.
Wow.
Remember the first season?
He
He had the flannel one, and then he's got
the mechanics jacket, basically.
The mechanics jacket. Now he's got the leather one.
You still have hope, huh? Interesting.
Let me tell you
I think psychologically he's shot.
Well,
I worry about him. I
Okay,
really do.
I'm concerned where he is psychologically. I'm not concerned where he is talent-wise and physically as a fighter. I still think. Now, am I still considering him a lightweight? I know he said he's going to move up, but let's assume for a second as far as the other lightweight fighters. I still think he's the most talented fighter at lightweight. I really do. Now, hold on. Let me get him with another co-trainer. If he doesn't want to let go of Pops, I get it. But if you put him with someone else, a high-quality trainer, a Freddie Roach, or what have you, you get a high-quality trainer in there, even a young Julian Chua. I think, you know what I mean? Somebody different with a nice, fresh set of eyes.
How about real structure?
Exactly.
That's key.
You get a real structure. I still think the kid is still a physical specimen, incredibly fast. I think he's still got he's the hardest hitter at 135. I still think he's got a great chin. He got caught with an overhand shot when he was exerting, but it was a flash knockdown. He got back up. He was fine. He's got the best physical intangibles of all the fighters in there. Even Loma.
But what about
even
the
Loma.
mental intangibles?
Well, that's what I'm. Kim,
You're
I
not
just
concerned
said.
at all.
No, I just said. I
think
prefaced it by saying I am
mean-
concerned. I said I don't know psychologically, but the reason I haven't jumped ship like you do, you unloyal bastard, is because I still believe in his physical abilities, and if he can right the ship, I still think he's the most dangerous guy in there. As opposed to, and I want to get. Well, we'll get to that fight later.
Well,
but
let me
remember
ask you
when I said
something.
I'll make
Well,
another reference there.
Mario, if you go back to the 10th round,
If
he
he
scores
makes
the
certain,
knockdown.
yeah.
You're thinking, okay, he's turned it. He's going to win the fight. His body seemed to shut off. At 135,
Well, that's the thing.
he's bursting at the seams.
Yes.
Now, if he has to move up to junior welterweight, those physical advantages now dissipate.
I know they don't. I don't believe that. Okay. I think he carries them. Even like when Victor Ortiz moved up to 147, remember he was killing himself at 140, and he fought Andre Berto, looked like a monster. Now, he, ironically, couldn't deal with the psychological problems, but physically, he was a beast. Yeah. He was even stronger, just as fast, and I think that's going to be Teo, bro. I think he brings his power up with him, if not even stronger. I think the speed's still there. The skill is obviously there. It comes down to psychologically and emotionally is he going to be able to handle it. And this game is a whole, you know.
Look, at the end of the day, I don't want to pile on, but I just want to say this one last thing. Everything that led into what took place November 27th and even post-fight, they did this to themselves. We've gone over it.
Yeah.
I don't want to rehash it. So before you start pointing fingers, pull the thumb. Anyway.
Yeah, and congratulations, Kambosos. Rose to the occasion. Hell of a fight.
Yes, and he's a fine gentleman, and he's a Spartan mindset.
Yeah.
He's a tough out. And speaking of which, in the lightweight division this past weekend, I was at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, once again on the Zone, for the WBC lightweight title. The Dream, Devin Haney, with a workmanlike 12-round decision over Joseph Diaz. The scores, 117, 111 twice, 116, 112. Mario, I'll say this. I think Devin was dominant in many respects, but I also came away a little bit concerned because there's now a trend of him getting hurt in the fight, another kid bursting out at the seams. He doesn't hit that hard, but here's what I came away from watching Devin once again. He's athletic, he's sound, he has a ring IQ, but he's not slick. Well, he's not that untouchable defensively.
Kim, I'm concerned for him too because he's got a lot of tools. He's really fast. He's got fluid punches, great foot movement, but he can't really crack. And he doesn't take punches well.
Uh-oh.
That's the thing. And there's some legit killers at 140 and real athletes. And if he goes up, I don't know if that carries. By the way, if he goes up, hold on a second. Even if he fights the other 135-pounders, look, Jojo Diaz. And can I give props to Jojo Diaz, by the way? My guy's a little warrior in there.
He's a real fighter.
He's a real fighter, and he's fought some real guys, never turned down anyone. And he was in that fight, and he was competitive, and he caught Devin with some nice, solid shots, and it was a competitive fight. I had Devin winning, okay? But it was a competitive fight, and if he had a little more punch, a little more heavy hands, Jojo Diaz, who knows? But I'm thinking, going back to my Teofimo comparison. I think Teofimo, right frame of mind, whatever, walks right through Haney. He catches Haney with those shots that Jojo Diaz caught him with. Good night, because you know Teofimo, Jojo Diaz ain't nowhere near Teofimo as far as speed and power. Okay, and he caught him clean a few times and buzzed him. Yeah. Can you imagine what Teo would do to that? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So here's a guy who's got a lot of tools, high skill set, incredible fundamentals, but again, doesn't have the best punching power, and I don't want to say he's got no chin, but he's got a suspect chin.
Yeah, punch resistance
is questionable. Yeah, so that's what I was saying is. But on the other hand, I really like the way he carries himself, and he seems to have psychological and emotional and a nice stable foundation there. In the post-fight interview, I was most impressed with him when Kambosos was trying to, are you going to be ready for these fans and the crowd? And we go to Australia, and I love his comeback. He goes, crowds don't win fights. I do. It was like the light of the night. I'm like, he was a polite and he was a gentleman, but he was quick-witted about it. And I like, he seems, if you can combine both Haney's sort of psychological stability with Teo's physical prowess, but yes, then you'd have yourself a great little fighter there.
Knowing Devin the way I do, and having covered all four of those young men in that weight class, the four caps, I would say he by far is the most psychologically and mature, stable individual. As it relates for Joseph Diaz, very clever little fighter. He's kind of cursed, though, because he doesn't have great size, but he still can't make 130. It's not a full-fledged 35, classic tweener.
Yeah.
This is what frustrated me. My ringside press row seat was right near the Diaz corner with his father and Daryl Hudson. They were imploring him for at least 10 rounds. If you're not going to punch hard, which you're not, punch a lot.
I know. That
and
was a
his
little
activity at times, I felt as though just get your hands moving because you're going to have to win this fight in volume. You're not Julian Jackson. But even in the 12th, I thought he clipped him. You could see Devin sway a little bit, and you look at the clock, there's like 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Thought he let him off the hook.
I know. It's it's frustrating. And listen, he never stopped moving his feet either. He was constantly moving, giving him angles, had that nice stiff jab to the body. And I thought Diaz fought a well fight, a smart fight, a great game plan. It just wasn't enough. It was a good little fight. It was competitive.
It was what I would call a solid boxing match. Both guys a little bit more IQ, very a lot of ring generalship, but one guy's a little bit bigger, a little bit rangier, a little bit faster, and that was the difference. Now, Sunday night fights from what is no longer the Staples Center. We're going to talk about that later. In Los Angeles, it was Showtime, and still the WBA lightweight champion of the world, Gervonta Tank Davis, with a tough, hard-nosed decision over Isaac Pitbull Cruz. Your scores, 115, 113 twice, and 116, 112. Mario, I'll admit it, I thought it'd be a blowout. It was a real fight.
I'm with you. I thought it was, look, the Pitbull, that's another guy. He understood his assignment, and he thought it was a fight. He didn't realize it was a damn show. He didn't know it was a damn show. I love it. Look, you would think Pitbull's tailor-made for Gervonta. A smaller opponent, which I don't think has ever happened, right, height-wise. A guy that comes inside is right there. Perfect, tailor-made for him. A little guy right into those beautiful uppercuts that Gervonta likes to throw. I didn't think he would stick around past maybe, even with his toughness, the sixth round. Just because it seems styles makes fight. He thinks that style would be tailor-made for him. Man, that is a tough little dude. He earned his name, the Pitbull. The way he let his hands go, was not intimidated, stuck his head in that chest, worked that body, was the busier fighter. It was a close fight. That was a lot closer than Haney a Diaz fight. And I didn't have a problem with the 115, 113 scorecard. I know a lot of people actually thought he might have been able to pull it off and to win. But I thought he kept his hands busy. I thought that the fact that he wasn't able to get hurt on a consistent basis showed a lot. I think Davis had his hands full. I think he gives all the lightweights a fun fight, gives them a little trouble. He's a tough guy, well-schooled guy, well-conditioned guy, just in your business. It was almost like that version of the Castillo versus Mayweather, where it was just a smothering fighter that you were having a lot of problems with. Gervonta ended up obviously being victorious, but I don't want to say his stock dropped a little bit, but it was not a showcase of. It wasn't a showcase fight that he was hoping it was be.
I thought Cruz was the winner here in terms of his stock rising.
Exactly,
he exceeded expectations.
Exactly.
And Mario, I thought this was a fight. If this was a jump ball, it was Spud Webb against Muggsy Bogues, and I actually think the smaller size of Cruz helped him because he got into a bit of a peekaboo. So he was already a short guy, then he got low. You know how they say in life, never punch down? When was the last time Gervonta ever punched down? I think that affected his accuracy. Also, Pitbull's discipline with his hands. His right hand, his backhand was up the whole time, and he also parried punches.
Yeah, I know.
So he ran into shots, but his hands are there in the right defensive position. And if he opened up too much, that's when the counter-punching opportunities would come. So he had to be judicious. Personally, I thought Tank won the fight 15-13. Okay? A lot of close rounds, but Tank showed one thing.
What I thought.
He's got pretty good speed. He's reflexive. He's twitchy. And he could box if he had to. I believe that the left hand probably did affect him late in the fight. But here's the question that I have then. Floyd Mayweather, Leonard Elby have made it clear, we don't do business with anyone else. We're not trying to make any other company great.
So they're not trying to win belts?
Well, they won a belt, the WBA. But my view is, are we going to get these fights with these other fighters like Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, or Ryan Garcia? I just don't know how far do you extend this when you're only playing your own sandbox. That's the question.
Well, do you want to be a star, or do you want to just have, because there's no way you can continue building him as a brand and make him a star,
right,
quote unquote, if he's not willing to get in there with those other guys.
And speaking of which, death, taxes, and Ryan Garcia chirping about fights when he doesn't fight, when he doesn't have a fight, about other fighters.
My guy's ballsy to be doing that because he had to know that he was going to get some
Be honest.
feedback.
Do you read his tweets just for the reactions? Because some people roast him. Oh,
Here's what I will say. No, a lot of people roast him. Here's what I will say, though. Ironically, with all that said, if and when he does fight, you know a lot of eyeballs are going to be tuning in.
Am I
right?
No, but that's the shame of it. If he would have just stayed on the ball and actually fought a regular schedule, he would be by far the biggest marquee star out of all of these guys. Again, he literally has not fought since the second day of this year.
Do you think now, though, again, assuming if and when he doesn't get into the ring, people will be watching him more to see him fail as opposed to really?
But that's genius marketing. I actually enjoy that part. Look, I'm a big critic of Ryan Garcia.
I don't think he's doing that strategically.
No, but you know what? You're right. But okay, let's go through the 135-pound class. I'm going to name some names.
Are you still keeping Teofimo in this mix for conversation purposes?
No, because I believe his next fight's at 140.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
so
then
let's
that's
go.
okay.
I'm just going to give you some names here. Kambosos, Tank, Haney, Ryan Garcia, Lomachenko, and two other names. William Zepeda, the shrimp that I love. I think he's
love
hell for
Zepeda.
anybody. And Richard Comey. Who's your top dog at 135?
Loma.
Over Kambosos.
Yes.
He's the
Still
man who
over-
beat the man who beat the man, though. You don't give him credit for the achievement of going to the mountaintop?
I think.
Not who would win on a fight, but I'm just saying.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant who would win on. Okay, because I was thinking who would win on a fight.
Just
right
rank
now,
'em.
the man.
Just rank 'em.
Oh, Kambosos.
Okay.
Right now, Kambosos. If you're asking me who would win in a tournament out of those, Loma, because I still think, and as great as Kambosos was, I don't think he beat the best version of Teo that night. And if they were to fight again, I'd still probably favor Teo. He knows he can hurt him and drop him, and I think he'd prepare differently. I really do.
Okay.
So
That's fair.
Is that fair? Not to take anything away from Kambosos, because again, you know I'm a big fan. But I think Kambosos, aside from Loma and Teo, is still, I would pick him over all those guys.
Even Tank.
Yeah, even Tank.
Interesting.
Even Tank, because of his length. He's busy.
And his engine. His engine is good.
And his hand speed. I was impressed with his hand speed. His hand, I think he'll box him in and out, and it could box circles around him all night. Yes.
And do not discount his mentality.
Yes.
That is a
and I
Spartan
think he's mentally, very
warrior.
tough.
Going
you
back,
don't agree? You don't agree?
I would say based on achievement, and if you're the man who beats the man, it's Kambosos.
No, I know. I'm
Right.
saying, but let's assume there was
But
a little
everything
tournament.
else, look, we're going to talk about Loma later. I have a theory that if he looks the way I think he will, it may be very ironic. He may circle back and win all these belts again. You never know.
Dude, when he lost to Teo, it wasn't like he got an ass whooping. He lost a very close fight.
Right, with one shoulder. Moving back, November 27th, Park Theater, Las Vegas. It was Showtime. Your new WBC, WBO junior featherweight titleist is Stephen Fulton out of Philadelphia, winning a tough, grinding 12-round decision over Brandon Figueroa. I think this fight could have gone either way. Personally, I had the Scooter out of Philadelphia winning.
That was a fun fight.
It was, but here's the thing. Fulton, again, is a stereotype that, he's slick. No, he's athletic.
Yeah.
You can touch him, though. And as I kept watching that fight, I thought, Danny Roman is a sharpshooter.
Yeah.
That's a line drive hitter. And
But
he is the mandatory in one of those sanctioning bodies.
See, I thought Figueroa did a great, and I like the way he lets his hands go. South Texas guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he likes his hands go. So I wouldn't have had a problem that.
But I
fight
thought
either.
the cleaner punching on the
No, I
mid-range
agree. I
was
agree.
Fulton, who's a very tough guy. Moving on to the fight preview. Set your DVRs. Check your local listings. From the famed Madison Square Garden this Saturday night on ESPN, Vasil Lomachenko takes on Richard Comey, while on Showtime from the War Grounds in Carson, California, Nonito Donaire, future Hall of Famer, takes on Raymar Gaballo in some Pinoy power. Mario, if Loma is the guy we still think he is, as tough as Comey is, isn't this a built-to-order opponent to look spectacular?
Yes, and again, keep having to go back to him, but look, those are two guys that Teofimo beat, and I still think his resume is more impressive.
No argument.
Than all the, you know what I mean? So it's interesting to see. I'm just going backwards for a second to see where his head's at, what weight he's going to be at, and what have you. With that said, if he has another back-to-back impressive performance in two very different styles, right? With
First Nakatani, and then Comey.
Nakatani is fine. Then it just solidifies that my thinking that he deserves to be number one, still considered in that weight class.
No, there's no doubt about it. The thing with Loma is a lot of these other guys will shy away from going to Australia. You look at Lomachenko. He went to England to fight in front of a full house with Luke Campbell. He had no qualms about going anywhere to fight anybody. And if Loma's right shoulder is healed, and I was at the Nakatani fight, I said, you know what, this guy still is that old line from Eric Dickerson. I may have lost a step, but it's a step that many people didn't have. So I'm interested, because one thing about Comey, he's still a rugged, tough, strong guy.
Yeah, look, with that said, and even if he is victorious and looks good, I still rather see Haney Kambosos.
Interesting.
Wouldn't you?
I don't know.
What do you mean? We get to solidify and have a real undisputed, even though I think Kambosos is undisputed because Haney was sort of kind of. I'd still want to see that fight, and he said he'd be willing to go down there. So.
Yeah, we shall see. All I know about Kambosos is this: in April, they'll make an optional defense. I get the sense some of the bigger names that those fights will be in America. Moving on to news and notes. Buzzkill alert: December 29th. The fight between Gennady Golovkin and Rito Murata, and also the unification bout at 115 between Kazuto Ioka and Jerwin Ancajas. The new variant of the COVID in Japan, it has kiboshed those fights.
And there's no possibility of him coming to the U.S., right? Or just what didn't make financial sense?
With the type of yen that is out there for Golovkin, I love all these people on social media when this fight was announced as being postponed. Well, he needs to fight Andre or Charlo and then do the... Folks, there's so much money in Japan, and I hate to say it, this is now a full-blown business for Golovkin. They would literally wait another year to make sure this fight happens. And this is the shame of it. Golovkin,
well, look, you can't blame him. You can't blame it. I mean, it is what it is. Ken.
But there's the shame of it all. By the time he gets into the ring, I think he's going to be 40. And he last fought in December, right around this time against Kamil Zermeta. And I thought he looked okay. But I have a concern. When people say, well, how would Golovkin do against this guy, and this guy next year? Mario, isn't it safe to say we have no idea what version of Triple G currently exists?
No, but the longer it waits, it can't be better. It can't be for the better.
Yeah, and Mario, news that broke on Monday, looks like Tommy Fury is not going to face Jake Paul. He pulled out of the fight with an injury on December 18th on Showtime pay-per-view.
I hate to say, I was actually looking forward to that.
Okay, so was I, because Tommy Fury comes from a fighting family.
Sure,
he's a fighting man, as Tyson says.
His brother, Tyson Fury, heavyweight champ, was actually doing him a favor with the promotion and really hyping it up. And now we get the rematch with your boy Tyron Woodley.
You want to put another $1 on that?
Didn't we watch that together in my house?
Yeah, it was a summer day. We're in their backyard.
We might have to do that again. If he, in the frustrating thing, we were like, let your hands go. He lets his hands go.
Double or nothing here?
Yeah.
You owe me a buck.
Right.
No Welch, man. Double or nothing. All right, so that's what's going to be
Mortimer.
December 18th. Yeah, we are trading places.
Yes.
All right, anyway, we come back. We go to the Ask Mario segment and final Flurries on the 3 Knockdown Rule on Triller. And we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule on Triller. Steve, Kim, Mario Lopez talking boxing. We go to the Ask Mario segment of this fine program. Here's one from Mr. Clay Stevenson. Hey, Mario, how do you see a focused Ryan Garcia doing against Devin Haney?
Look, again, it's almost been a full year since we've seen him, so we don't know what kind of fighter what we're going to get. I doubt he's going to jump back in the ring after such a long hiatus against a caliber of an opponent like Haney. Assuming he has a solid camp in another fight, because he's been tweeting he's going to fight 3 times this next year. Okay, let's assume the third fight is like a Haney. Look, Ryan's still got very fast hands. He's got some pop in those punches. Because of the concerns we have with Haney, aside from the tools, I kind of think he's a live dog. With all that said,
with that lightning left hook,
yes,
at any time he could just. I
kind of think he's a live dog. Am I crazy in thinking that?
You're not crazy because look, Linares buzzed him late, and Joseph Diaz buzzed him late.
And Ryan can hit harder than both those guys.
And Ryan is probably a faster trigger pull. I mean, when he's at his best, that thing comes out of nowhere.
And he's got those twitchy hands. So, yeah, I'm sure he's chomping at the bit. Now, we've talked a lot about psychological and emotional strength and focus here. It depends where he's at, though. Is he going to be able to do that? So there's a lot of ifs there.
I have a question about Ryan Garcia and Golden Boy. Let's say they do come back in February or March.
Oscar was letting his hands go, too, and Twitter this
I guess him and Ryan are now getting along. They seem to be simpatico. But here's the question that I have with Ryan Garcia. If he says, okay, we're going to come back in February or March, and they're going to say, well, we've taken some time off, so we need a tune-up. So Golden Boy will say, okay, but if you want a tune-up, can we have a little bit lesser of a purse for you? I wonder if that's going to be an issue because you look at it both ways. One side's going to say, well, we haven't fought in a year. Golden Boy could say, well, okay, if you want to fight Steve Kim, you should get half your purse. You see what I'm kind of hinting at here?
Let's assume financially there's no concerns. Who would you like to see him fight first? Realistically.
The sadist in me says William Zepeda, but
you know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's downright trolling.
Yeah, who I like, by the way, a lot.
Hopefully not Yuriorkis Gamboa. You know, they actually tried to do that fight this year.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Right. So
wow is all I got to say.
Yeah, wow. As in not wow as in wow, but wow as in Here's a question from Carlos Ortiz. Which line was more impactful from Duke, from Rocky's series? He doesn't know it's a damn show. He thinks it's a damn fight. Or
wait, I've been trying to quote that all the show.
Or, you see, he's not a machine. He's a man. That's from Rocky 4, right?
Yeah, well, the first one. Yeah, he doesn't know it's a damn show. He thinks it's a damn fight. That's what it actually is. Damn it, I misquoted it 3 times.
No,
today.
but is it more impactul than we don't need that man in our life? It's all wrong.
No, that's my favorite.
That's your favorite.
That's my favorite. You didn't offer that as an option.
Here's one from
that kind of man.
The only Sanch, Estevao Lopez, who doesn't make excuses and who really knows J-Lo, shot there at Teofimo Lopez. Is Kambosos the best 135-pounder? We answered that, but here's the thing. Does he favor any of these guys currently at 35, moving up to 140 against the top dogs there like Regis Prograis, Jose Zepeda, Ramirez, and Taylor?
Well, what's the question? If Kambosos were to move up?
Any of those guys at 35 that we know of, the 4 Caps and Kambosos, how would they fare?
Teofimo is the only one that I have faith in that would fare.
Because of the power?
Yes, because of his power and his speed. I think he actually brings his power with him, and if anything, would look even stronger. I think he kills himself. To me, the guy's put together. He's just a naturally strong guy. Look, he knocked out Comey, bro, in the second round with 1 shot. And those
Ghanaians are granite chin.
Exactly. That's that kid. And then and if you look at his string of knockouts, those guys are like going to convulsions. They look crazy.
Again, my worry about Teofimo has nothing to do with the physical. Has to do with the psychological.
I'm assuming his psychological. His psychological is together, he's the best. I think he has the most success in moving up to 140.
I don't disagree, but I have to admit, when I'm reading some of these tweets and Instagram, I'm wincing.
Yeah. Are you hearing anything about a possible coach-trainer situation?
I have not. Here's the thing that I didn't understand. They had great success with Joey Gamache, former world champion. Yeah. He was in the camp, very good boxing.
They got a little success. They don't want to pay him.
They don't want to pay him. It's always about the money.
Well, they're going to have to be honest.
And my point is that money that you saved, what did it cost you? Again, everything you guys did was about the money. Put this on yourself. Here's one from Patrick Torres. If Crawford can't secure a fight with Spencer Taylor, do you like him at 154 against someone like Charlo or Castaño? How do you guys see those fights playing out?
Man, that'd be such a travesty if that doesn't happen. I thought it was getting close to happening, and I hope it still does with Spence. Look, you know how I feel about Crawford. I love everything about him. I can't find a flaw. He's awesome, but at some point, your body has to give to the physical discrepancies as you go up. Castaño's a tough guy. I almost like him more against Charlo.
So do I.
Yeah, against a Charlo. I think a Charlo. Castaño's a strong, tough guy, though, after a while. You know, it may be a lot. That may be overwhelming. But I think a Charlo, I think I like him.
Charlo's shown to be more vulnerable in spots. Well, Castaño is what he is, a hard-nosed grinder. But we've talked about this with Crawford. He has what you call that natural strength. Mm-hmm. And his wrestling background, and I've talked to people that have run tests on him, that his heartbeat is almost like a marathon runner's. That his stamina is actually a real thing. They've done tests on it, and his rates per minute, the beats, is incredibly low. Right.
Dunk.
Yeah, and you're just like, this is a pretty special athlete in terms of speed, stamina, and strength.
Fan.
Here's one from Ace, and I want to address this. Truth. Was Tank versus Pitbull really a sellout? Seeing pictures of Staples Center, it was kind of empty. Let me just say
well,
this.
you were there.
No, I was not. No, I watched it at home.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Traveled
Yes.
back from Vegas.
You were at the
other fight.
Yeah.
Look, they curtained off the upper deck of the Staples Center. So the number that they actually announced, it wasn't possible because there's television kills, production kills. Upper deck was curtained off like a USC basketball game in the 80s. The other thing is the Tank, though, is a victim of his promoter exaggerating and lying. Tank is the biggest draw, not named Ryan Garcia, of all the American fighters in that weight class. But here's the issue. If you're going to go to a big venue and you sell out 80% of it, just say we did a great number. Because, look, compared to Devin Haney and Teofimo, he's a big draw. Now, with that said, I have to give Haney and Tank both credit because at their ages, I remember fights of Floyd Mayweather before he really became money. When he fought Goyo Vargas, Doug Fisher was at that fight. He literally said Top Rank was giving out credentials to people that just want to go to the fight. It was that bad. It's a process. And I don't think that Leonard Ellaby does a favor to Tank when he starts making all these bold claims because now everyone starts to check up because you could actually see how fights are selling now on Axis or AXE.
Right.
And so they're actually playing this game.
They got receipts.
Right. And the bookkeeping is more creative than Enron in 2001.
Yeah.
And then people are taking pictures of empty seats and like, this is not a great look. I think Tank's an exciting fighter. I hope he fights real fights. But the other question then becomes a guy like Devin Haney. I asked him, I said, Devin, you're still young. Do you really only want to fight twice a year? And he says, no, I'd like to fight more. So I asked him, well, have you ever told that to Eddie Hearn? And he goes, no. Well, take a little ownership in your career.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you are in control of that. But anyway, moving on to the final flurries. Mario, what was it like in New York City the past week?
Cold.
Cold? That's it, huh?
I mean, I love New York. New York's a great place, but I'm a Southern Cali kid. I would never want to live there. The opportunity came up, but look, New York's great, man. The people are super cool, great places to eat, a lot of cultures, always something to do. It's moving. And
now, when you went into a restaurant to eat or any other establishment, did they ask you for your vaccine status? Are they enforcing that?
I think they saw some people. I just kind of walked in. When you act like you know where you're going.
Well, you're Mario Lopez.
Hey,
come on,
you
you're
kinda,
Mario Lopez.
Well, you just kind of wive. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I got people sitting over there. And so I just, and then I just kind of walked in. For the most part, they were pretty cool. New Yorkers in general are super cool. But I was there to promote, all the stuff, the new Bell and the Access show, all that stuff. The movie this week on Friday, Holiday in Santa Fe. Check it out.
Okay.
Lifetime. Don't get so excited, you rap bastard. There's people out there with hearts and families that actually watch
The only thing I watch Christmas-related
is Scrooge and Grinch rolled into one.
No, it's a Charlie Brown Christmas. I watched that when they make
I'd pull the football from
gift
you, too.
tree from the thing
Yeah.
and they make it all shiny.
No, but New York was nice. It's
Okay.
great. Lit
Mario,
the Rockefeller tree and everything.
I don't care what anyone says. That big building on Figueroa, the home of the Lakers and the Kings and formerly the Clippers and a lot, it'll always be Staples. I will never call it the crypto arena.
I kind of I want it to be the crypto center. And to keep the center, we don't have to. We get rid of the Staples. We don't have to get crypto center, the Crips, and then it could be short for the Crip Center. That's tight.
This is
Crip
LA.
Center
Be
is
careful
crazy.
with that. Be careful with that.
That's
You
what
don't
I'm
want to wear
saying.
red in that venue.
I'm all about
Do not
the
wear
Crip
red
Center.
in the Crip Center. I'll tell you that. That's
so
dangerous.
you know what Staples paid for 10 years? $100 million. You know what Crip Center paid? $700 million for 10 years. But they're in the Bitcoin business, so is it real? It's all fake money. So what do you know what I mean?
No,
It's called inflation.
Yeah, right, exactly.
we're going
No,
through
but
that.
it's not tangible. It's not like we know Staples actually paid. They're like, yeah, okay, $700 million, but you can't see
Did they pay it in Dogecoin?
Well, that's what I'm
That's not
saying.
Dogecoin
How
there,
do you
man.
even know? It's crazy.
That's amazing, though. I didn't realize that building is 20 years old. And
Wow.
trivia question.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first year the Lakers won in 1999-2000, the
Yeah.
Phil Jackson, Kobe, Shaq. What's the first big fight there at the Staples? You had to know this one. You were probably there.
Was it De La Hoya Mosley?
Yes, June 17th,
exactly.
2000.
Yeah.
And in fact,
That was a great fight.
and it was in between the Lakers getting blown out of Game 5 and winning it in Game 6, and the fight was on that Saturday, right in between.
Oh, wow. What a
yeah,
weekend.
I remember that whole weekend
LA.
because a lot of the pre-fight festivities were at the Staples Center, and you couldn't do some of them in certain rooms because the Lakers were playing the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah.
And I will say this, I go to the Staples Center pretty often, maybe 3-4 times a year. Incredibly well-kept building.
No, it's great. That's great. You know, in thinking about the names, Bank of California, that's a great name. The bank, they call it.
Bank.
The Home Depot, that's been changed like 10 times, I feel.
Now it's the Dignity StubHub Health Club Center.
Yeah, it's
Carson.
like,
Yeah,
what?
whatever.
Yeah, what? Is it me or has that been changed a bunch?
It'll always be, to me, Home Depot.
Home Depot.
It'll always be Home Depot to me. And I want to go back to the Staples Center.
SoFi's cool. SoFi's SoFi. you know.
So fine. It's great stadium.
Yeah.
The Staples Center to me is part of the LA Renaissance because before the Staples Center was built, there was nothing going on downtown. And in fact, Mario, for the first 3 years,
because what was the
there was just a convention center.
No, but there was the other the sports arena.
No, that's a toilet.
No, I know it is, but I'm saying that's
but that's not close.
No, but I'm saying it's not that far. But that's the only other venue of that ilk down there. Before that was built, is what I'm saying. Right,
but that was it. Trust me, there was not a lot.
I know
going
it's
on
a
there.
dump, but I'm saying that was the only one that existed.
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing though: the first 3-4 years of the Staples Center, there was no LA Live. So where LA Live used to be was just a parking lot. We used to park out there.
Yeah.
And every time I go to LA Live, it's amazing how much it's revitalized our city. I mean, whoever's responsible, I think it's AEG, right?
Yeah.
They did a great job. And before the Staples Center, Mario, we didn't get a lot of fights out here. Specifically in LA, till AEG as a corporation, a man by the name of Dan Beckerman, who's a very nice guy. He actually says, I like boxing. We seem to have a lot of Mexicans, and I like boxing, and he married a Filipino woman. I like Manny Pacquiao.
Panay Power.
Yeah, so because of him, I want to thank Dan Beckerman. You're making my job much easier.
And now we have him all the time at Dignity Health Center, at the Forum.
Yes.
a lot of locations. SoFi.
A lot of competition.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mario.
The bank. We've had him at the bank.
Yes. Things aren't looking good for old Juicy Smollett. Interesting.
Why aren't they televising that? Why aren't they? They're depriving us of some incredible comedy. They televise these other. What was the last televised? Rittenhouse. They televised Rittenhouse. You can't televise Juicy Smollett. Come on. My guy said he's talking about bathhouses and rubbing other dudes out.
Wow.
And doing drugs. I mean, this stuff is incredible. But he still says it wasn't a hoax. He's digging himself deeper. This is crazy. And this is a guy who was on a show, and just because he didn't like the raise that he got, and like a good-looking guy.
I used to watch that show.
You did. I never saw
Empire.
it. How was he? Like a big character on the show?
I'll make a bold statement. Out of all the music that they played, I thought his stuff was the best.
Wow.
I actually enjoyed it.
I didn't know you were a Juicy Smollett fan.
Yeah, as an artist, yes.
Did you ever spend time in a bathhouse with him?
Would you be quiet?
Apparently that's his thing.
No comment.
No, so isn't that the craziest thing?
I actually enjoyed whatever music he was playing. I thought this guy's pretty talented. Wow. I did not know he was.
So he did all the more reason he did not need to do this.
Yeah.
But remember, it was a political year.
He tried to make it. The two MAGA hats.
The two MAGA hats in the middle of this blizzard.
And then one of the brothers that's involved actually did a boxing match. It was an amateur boxer. One of those
Dude,
guys.
they caught him on tape rehearsing the day before. Did you know that?
Well, practice makes perfect.
My guy.
Practice makes perfect.
Dude, except they got caught.
Yeah, exactly. The whole thing's so fascinating.
Well, in the middle of a polar vortex at 2 a.m.
At Subway. I'm very, very disappointed they're not televising this, because wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Damn it, that'd be awesome.
All right, one last note here. I hate to tell you this, Mario. You're no longer the most important Mario in my life. Congratulations to Mario Cristobal coming back to the U. I'm just so happy. That's my Merry Christmas, like the Red Ryder BB gun with the thing that tells time. But anyway, you're still second. Anyway, that's it for this week's edition of the 3 Knockdown Rule on Triller. On behalf of Mario Lopez, Tim Frazier, Justin Buffalo Knuckles, and Tino on the edit. Goodbye, everybody.